This video is going to be all about piano inversions, what they are, how you would use them, and then how you would incorporate them into your chord chart and your playing. So chord inversions mean that we take any of our 12 normal chords, and instead of playing them in root position, such as C, C, E, and G, we're going to swap the order of our chord. So the best way I like to explain this to my students is with my piano pens. And I always let my students choose the color of their assignments each week. And for teaching inversions, I just say to choose 3 different colors, and then from there, we'll learn what inversions are. So I'm gonna do yellow, turquoise, and orange. So for this one, I'm gonna put the orange on C. I'm gonna put the yellow on E, and the turquoise on G. Now, if we were to play this chord right here as is, we would have our C chord in root position. But let's take this orange pen and jump it up to the next C. So we go from C and then we jump it up to this C. Now we're going to play these 3 pens again, but when we play them this time, we see that they're in a different order. So now we have E, G, and C. This is inverted once. We have inverted the C chord once, so we call this first inversion. Now let's take the yellow pen and we're going to jump it up from this E all the way up to this E. So now we play these again. We have G and C and E, and this is our second inversion because we have inverted it twice. Now we take our turquoise pen and we jump it from G all the way up to the next octave, up to G. Now we have another C chord back to root position. It's just 1 octave higher because we're back to our orange, yellow, turquoise. So there's 3 different ways that, or 3 different inversions that we could play a normal root position 3-note chord. It's just root, first inversion, and second inversion. So that is how I like to teach the concept. And then we just continue to take the pens and the orange, we pop it up again, and then we play first inversion, and then we pop the yellow up again, and we play second inversion, pop the turquoise up again, and we have root, and we just keep going all the way up the piano until we run out of room. So here we have C first inversion is the very last chord we can do until we run out of notes. Now this works as well if we go down the piano. So, well, oh, what was our colors? Oh, we did orange, yellow, turquoise. So now we're going to take that same C chord, and this time we're going to pop the top note down an octave. So turquoise from G down to G. And there we go. Now yellow from E down to E, and then orange from C down to C. Awesome. And then we can just keep looping all the way down until we get to the very bottom of the piano. So this is our concept overview of how we would learn inversions. Now the next level here is to try it, but this time without the pens. So now we're going to play our chord with our right hand. 1, 3, and 5 plays C, E, and G. Now we're going to drop the bottom note, but continue to hold the top 2 notes. And our other hand is going to pick up and carry and then place that note up here. So you're going to use 2 hands to swap it all around, but here's our chord. We drop the bottom note, we pop the top one up here. Now, from here, figure out a way to finagle around and play these notes with one hand. So now we have E, G, and C. Now we're going to play this first inversion and we're going to drop the bottom note E, pop it up to the next octave. Now we're going to move our right hand around again until we can catch all those notes, G, C, and E. Now we're going to drop the G and pop it up here. It's important to try this exercise with your right hand and then having your left hand pop that note up an octave because it lets you hold the top 2 notes with your right hand while seeing the note that is inverted with your other hand. So we continue to do this exercise all the way up the piano, and then you'll discover that you'll see the patterns and then be able to recognize the patterns and then just keep going. So now the next exercise is to do the same thing but going down the piano. So we drop the top note, jump it down. Figure out a way to catch all these notes again, drop the top note, jump it down, catch all the notes again, drop the top note, jump it down. Continue to do this all the way down the piano till you have played through all your chord inversions. There's that E, there's that C, and that's as low as this one goes. Now, level 3 is where we do that same thing, but instead of taking our left hand to jump this inversion up to the next octave, we're just gonna imagine that in our head. We're gonna see it, we're gonna see that note letting go, jumping, and then we're gonna see our hand moving around to catch these new notes in that order. But instead of doing it with both hands, we're just gonna imagine it and go from here, and that C jumps, we move around, and we play the next inversion. Now the E lets go, jumps, goes up high, we move around. Now we have G, C, and E. Now the G jumps, woo, it goes up there. Now we have our root position again. And so we continue to drop the bottom note, pop it up an octave, and do this all the way up until you can easily imagine the pattern that just keeps happening. Up, 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 up the piano keyboard. Now we do the same thing, but this time with the left hand. Since right hand can easily reach the high notes, left hand can easily reach the low notes. So we start here. We drop the top note, imagine, whee, there it goes. And now we drop E, place it down here. Now we drop C, place it down here. Now we drop G, place it down here. Now we drop E, and there it goes, and then woo, there goes C, and then there goes G, and then woo, E, and then jump C. Now, that's the next level. Now, level 4 is we're going to do this, and instead of dropping that note and then moving around and placing, now we're going to imagine the jump as part of the whole thing that goes on up here. And we're just going to play this chord. We're going to jump that note, move around, and then play the next inversion as a blocked chord. Jump the E, move it up. There we go. Jump the G, move it up. Boop. Jump the C, jump the E, jump the G, jump C, jump E, jump G, jump C, and there we go. Now left hand, we're going to let go of that top note. Imagine the jump, and E jumps. Now C, and we keep playing these blocked inversions all the way down our keyboard. Awesome. Now, the last level to practice chord inversions, or second to last level, is instead of playing them blocked like this, we're going to play them broken. So just one note at a time. Bum, bum, bum. Now we go to our next chord. Dun, dun, dun. Now our next one. Next, next, next. Now, we're going to do this in a rhythm that is 3/4. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or triplet, 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 da 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 da. You can hold the pedal too because chord inversions just echo the notes in our chord, and chords sound really, really great together. So the pedal's going to sound really nice with this. So we go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yay! Now, we can do this with our left hand as well. We just drop the top. I let go of the pedal because if you go too low and you're playing all these inversions, it'll sound really, really muddy. So let's discuss the very final thing about playing this exercise. We want to imagine with the correct finger numbers that we're playing the chords that the first chord's super easy. We just have every finger on a white key and we play 1, 3, and 5. But when we jump up to the next inversion, we have E, G, and C. So we have this more of a gap between the G and the C than the E and the G. So whenever we're playing inversions, our thumb is going to be the one that reaches, and all 4 other fingers are going to always be right beside each other. So from here, we're going to play the thumb, and then finger 2, and then finger 5. Now when we jump up to the next one, our thumb still has a note in between because we played the G, and then C with finger 3, and E with finger 5. So in other words, we would not play 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. Sometimes I see students doing that. And when you play first inversion with 1, 3, 5, it's not as fluent as it could be as 1, 2, 5. But then up here, playing this one with 1, 2, 5 would be too crammed because we have an extra finger where we don't need one in between the C and the E. So I like to think of it as a sandwich because the first one is 1, 3, 5. So there's the bun. The next one is 1, 2, 5. So there's the center of your sandwich. And then the next one is back to 1, 3, 5. So we have 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 5, 3, 2, 3, and then 3, 2, 3, and then 3, 2, 3, and then 3, 2, 3. So that's our pattern. Now going down, it's the same 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, as far as the center finger for our playing our chord inversions. All right, so we've covered how to learn chord inversions and how to practice them to get comfortable learning what they are and then learning how to play them on the keyboard. Make sure you use the whole keyboard. You could even start, well, I like to have students start in the center and then work their way out. You can start in the center with right hand and work your way to the right. You can start in the center with left hand and then work your way to the left. And then that way you're just maximizing your practice. If you just practice one set of inversions like that, and then like this, and then like this, you're going to leave out about 4 more times worth of repetitions that could have really helped you learn this a lot faster. So practice it all the way up, practice it all the way down, the blocked, and then the broken. Yay! Now, from here, let's go to incorporating this into some of our chord progressions and then how we would use this, how we would start to use chord inversions when we're playing a chord chart. Whereas before, you might be comfortable playing just the root position of chords. I have had some students come to me wanting just to learn how to incorporate inversions into their chord charts and their playing because they typically jump from their C chord up to their next chord, maybe up to the F and then up to the G, or you have your A minor and your D minor, assuming we're in the key of C, and they are not familiar with how to start combining inversions into their playing. So this next part of our lesson is going to be how to do that. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose one chord in our chord progression. Oh, we should have a good song to go along with this. I'm gonna choose America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of green. We're gonna go with that song. And as we play the first line of this music, we're just gonna choose one of those chords to invert, and the rest we're gonna keep at our typical root position. So we're in the key of C. Our first line of this song starts with our C chord. Oh, beautiful. Now from here, we go to our G chord for spacious skies. And then we go to our F chord for amber waves of grain. So that's our really basic way of just playing C to G to F to C. We could jump up higher for the G. We could go from here, from our C, and then woo, jump up here. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies. You could choose if it sounds better with voice to jump that G chord down an octave or to jump it up an octave. But I think it would sound really good if we started our song with our C root position chord. So we're just going to start right here. Oh, beautiful. Now, our next chord, our G chord, is going to be the one we invert in this song. So every time we come to G, let's choose an inversion that blends really nicely. We could either play G in root position down here, or we could play first inversion right here, or we could play second inversion right here. Or we could just go back to root position up here. So if we're here at C, oh, beautiful. If we jump down here to the root, it's such a big jump. So let's not do root position for G. Let's try first inversion. So if we're from C and then we jump to G, first inversion, you can do the swap in your head. Take that G, boop, pop it up here. Then that creates this really easy blend from our C chord. We hardly have to move our hand at all on the piano. Our pinky stays right there at G, and finger 2 is already on D. Our thumb just pops one note over to B. So we go from C chord over to G, first inversion. Yeah, I like that. I like it a lot. Now from here, we can just jump to F. For amber waves of grain. Nice. So let's run through that. We have our C, and then we have our G, first inversion, and then we have our F chord. Now back to C. And then our second line, for purple mountain majesties. There's our G inversion. And then A major. Oh, and then D major. So this is the first two lines. I'm going to add a little backing track right here so that you can practice this. When you get to your A chord, just play normal A. When you get to your D chord, play normal D. And then we're going to try those first two lines. So here we go. Yay! Now that we've practiced our C to our G inversion, we are getting comfortable recognizing that when we have a chord that we want to invert, then just focusing on one chord, like play all the Gs as the inverted chord through your song, allows you to learn that inversion really, really well. Now, once you've done that, you might notice that there are a few other chords in your piece that would also blend well with a chord inversion. So this is where we get to pro level of incorporating chord inversions into our piece. What we'll want to do is be able to see any of the inversions for any of the chords and figure out which ones are going to flow better to the next chord. And basically, you just want to keep the notes close together. So the C root position blends well to the G first inversion. This might blend well to the F first inversion because we just jump one note down for every note. And then this could also blend well to the C second inversion. Whoa. So I'm going to play through that again. We have C root, G first inversion, F first inversion, C second inversion. So in my head, I'm thinking through C is my chord. My next chord is F. Wait, nope, my next chord is G. Now, which chord should I use? Should I use the root or should I pop this note up here? I should pop this note up here. Now from here, I'm thinking, ooh, my next chord is F. I don't want to jump up here. I don't want to jump down here. I just want to move right here. Do this inversion. Now my next chord is C. I could jump back up to the root, or I could just move these outside notes down one and create this C inversion. I like that. This is called chord voicing, where you use your inversions to flow really, really well from one chord to the next without these big jumps and this gap of sound in between from this chord to your next chord. You just want to go from here up to the inversion. All right. Now, what this requires you to do is to play a chord and then think through what is the next inversion that is closest, and do I want to go higher or do I want to go lower than my current chord? Alrighty, so now let's go back to America the Beautiful. We're going to play those chords again, and this time let's see if we can use some other inversions. So I would say the first one, root position, is great. Now here we might want to use second inversion again. Now from here, we're going to use F first inversion. Yeah, right there, because this blends with our melody. Now C, root position. And now here we go, second line, back to C root position. Now G first inversion. Now from here, I'm going to use A second inversion. Here's our A chord, but I popped it once and then twice. Now from here, I'm going to do the D first inversion. So we moved the D note from there up to there. Yeah. Now, what we're doing here pretty much is the secret to playing by ear. So I'm playing the melody in this song, as you can see, and I'm playing all of the filler passing notes, but whenever I come to a spot where we need the full chord, I'm using whatever inversion allows my melody note to be the top note of that chord. So beautiful starts with G, G, E, E. So I would want to use the C root position since that's our top note of our C root position chord and it blends with the melody note we're singing. Oh, beautiful for. Now, the word spacious falls on a G. So I want to use an inversion with the G chord that allows G to be the top note because that's our melody note. For spacious skies, for. Now, amber begins on F. Amber. So I want the F chord that has F as the top note. Amber waves of grain. Now back to the C chord, but G is our melody note, so we just have C root position. Oh, for purple mountain. Now majesties begins with G, but we want the G inversion. Majesties. Now we jump up to this note, C sharp, so that's why we invert the A chord. Now for the D chord, D is our melody note, but we want to make sure we use the inversion that pops that D up an octave. Whatever note you are playing as the top of your inversion is going to be the note that your ear hears. So that's why we're placing all of our chord inversions to work well with our melody notes. So if you can find your melody by ear, and then you can pair the chord with that particular note, and then place the inversion underneath that works just right with that note, you can play by ear. So now, if we go back to our song, I'm going to do one more backing track right here. And you can play along. I'm going to also place the chord inversion type up there so you can see which inversion to play and then hopefully get comfortable playing through the melody. You can also play your chord or inversion with your right hand and an octave with your left hand. So I'll have all that ready so you can see what notes to press, what notes to play, and practice along. Here we go. Yeah, awesome. Okay, if you enjoyed this exercise and you'd like a whole song with the backing track, go ahead and sign up to my email list in the link in my bio, and you will get to log in to a private video that has a complete song and a 9-page PDF guide on how to play the chords for that song, and you can practice it through as many times as you would like. And I hope this video was a great introduction to chord inversions and also how to practice them, how to incorporate them into your songs, and then how we would use them to even play by ear a little bit. I'm super passionate to help people understand how to play by ear because I think it can be taught, just like you can teach chord inversions like we did in this lesson, and then you can teach how to pair those with a melody note. If you just teach those things, then you can learn the concepts to playing a song by ear. All right, so that'll be all for today, and I hope you enjoyed our lesson on chord inversions.